Imagine stepping into a world where winter could kill as easily as any enemy, where frost crept through wooden walls and blankets were thin scraps of cloth, and yet somehow people survived. The real mystery is this. Medieval peasants endured months of freezing nights without central heating, insulated windows, or modern fuel. How did they do it? Picture a tiny cottage, smoke curling from a thatched roof, and a family huddled together over a flickering hearth. Outside, snow blankets the fields, temperatures plummet, and the wind screams like a living thing. Survival wasn't about comfort. It was a daily battle against hypothermia, frostbite, and the ever-present threat of illness. But here's the paradox. Despite these brutal conditions, entire communities lived, worked, and raised children in this frozen world. This wasn't luck. It was knowledge passed down over generations, an understanding of materials, fire, and human endurance that modern life has mostly forgotten. Today, we'll uncover the hidden logic behind their strategies, reveal the forgotten ingenuity that kept them alive, and explore why these techniques, though primitive, were shockingly effective. By the end, you'll see that surviving a medieval winter wasn't just about warmth. It was about cleverness, resourcefulness, and respect for nature itself. Winter in medieval Europe wasn't measured in months. It was measured in danger. Records from England and France describe snowstorms that buried villages, rivers freezing solid, and frost that killed crops before they could feed a hungry population. Peasants didn't have wood stoves or coal furnaces. They relied on hearths, communal ovens, and fires built from gathered timber. The homes themselves, simple timber frames with wattle and daub walls, seemed ill-suited to the cold. Yet these dwellings worked because people understood thermal principles intuitively. They knew where to position beds, how to layer straw and rushes for insulation, and when to seal gaps with mud. Food and drink were equally strategic. High-calorie, starchy pottages, preserved meats, and ale that doubled as both nourishment and mild antiseptic. Clothing was layered, wool, linen and furs, meticulously maintained. Everyone, from children to the elderly, contributed to survival, understanding that the failure to feed or clothe a single member could imperil the whole household. These strategies didn't just keep people warm. They structured daily life, dictated work cycles, and shaped social interactions. Winter was not a season to endure passively. It was a battlefield demanding constant attention, innovation, and cooperation. Here's where the cleverness truly shines. Medieval peasants mastered what we might now call low-tech insulation. Straw-stuffed mattresses weren't just for comfort. They trapped heat and kept it close to the body. Windows were tiny, sometimes covered with oiled cloth to block wind, and doors were fitted with thick wooden shutters. Fires weren't left to burn freely. They were carefully managed. Imagine tending a hearth. Small embers radiate warmth longer than a raging blaze, and the positioning of stones around the fire reflected heat towards sleeping areas. Clothing was worn in layers and often shared. Adults might wear the same tunic overnight, maximizing retained body heat. Diet played a hidden role too. Heavy fatty foods provided energy to fuel the body's internal furnace, while ale or weak beer supplied both calories and safe hydration. Even work schedules were adapted. Fields were tended when the sun rose and rested when darkness fell, minimizing exposure during the coldest hours. Every action, every habit was tuned to survival. What modern life has lost is the attention to cumulative effect. how fire, clothing, diet and architecture together form a system that keeps humans alive, even when temperatures plunge well below what we consider safe. It might seem impossible now, but these strategies still have lessons for us today. Think about energy efficiency. A simple straw mattress is a natural insulator, just as layering clothing minimizes the need for artificial heat. Understanding thermal mass, stones around a fire, the placement of a hearth, parallels modern passive heating design. Nutrition strategies, too, remain relevant. High-energy foods keep core temperature stable in cold conditions. Survivalists, campers, and even emergency planners can benefit from peasant ingenuity, applying centuries-old principles in contexts where fuel is limited or electricity fails. Beyond practical application, there's a philosophical insight. The medieval approach shows that humans can adapt to extreme environments not by technology alone, but by observation, experimentation, and attention to small but cumulative effects. It teaches patience and the value of incremental survival strategies. In a world obsessed with instant solutions, their methods remind us that resilience comes from careful, sustained effort, respect for natural cycles, and community cooperation. The same logic that kept families alive in the 14th century can guide us today through storms, power outages, or even personal crises. Surviving a medieval winter was not glamorous. It was a constant negotiation with nature itself. What strikes us now is not just the difficulty, but the ingenuity required to survive. Peasants turned scarcity into strategy, danger into routine, and simple materials into lifelines. The deeper lesson is that survival doesn't always require modern technology. It requires understanding, resourcefulness, and a willingness to learn from the environment. Reflect on this. Every layer of straw, every careful ember, every shared tunic was part of a system that sustained life against seemingly impossible odds. In our own lives, we face different challenges, but the principle remains. Adaptability, awareness, and thoughtful planning can turn hardship into endurance. Perhaps that is why history still fascinates us, not for the hardship alone, but for the cleverness and resilience that flourished in adversity. If you found inspiration in these forgotten skills, consider how ancient wisdom can illuminate modern survival, energy efficiency, or self-reliance. Share this story, explore more history, and remember, the past holds lessons that are still astonishingly relevant today.